Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs, and I'd like to welcome you to our release party presentation. Tonight's video is going to be a voiceover style because my stamp room isn't quite ready, but I'm still going to be able to show you the new stamp sets and a brand new project. I'm going to show you the new Whimsical Wildflowers by Hannah Shrek and the new Thankful and Blessed by Emily Loggins. I'm also going to show you the long-awaited Holiday Wreath Builder and our brand new incentive set, Skeleton Leaves. And I have a couple tips and tricks to show you using the new Holiday Wreath Builder. The first stamp set I want to show you is the new Whimsical Wildflower stamp set by Hannah Shrek. This stamp set bundle includes all of the stamps you see here and all of these beautiful dies. This stamp set has some fabulous greetings, including Keep Going, Keep Growing. The flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of them all. And if I had a flower for every time I thought of you, I could walk through my garden forever. Whimsical Wildflowers will take you through the fall and beyond. The next stamp set is the new Thankful and Blessed stamp set by Emily Loggins. And Emily is known for her beautiful hand lettering, and she hand lettered every one of the greetings you see here. Although these are perfect for the upcoming Thanksgiving season, these greetings are also perfect for thank you cards like I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and when I count my blessings, I count you twice. Large enough to act as a focal image, this stamp set is perfect for those who love to do background techniques. And with so many possibilities, this stamp set will take you through the fall and beyond. It's finally here, the brand new Holiday Wreath Builder. This stamp set is filled with all kinds of beautiful images so that you can create holiday wreaths for all holiday occasions this winter. With greetings like Joy to the World, Merry Christmas to You, Warm Winter Wishes, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays, you'll find the perfect greeting for everyone on your holiday card-making list. And you'll be able to mix and match these images with other Wreath Builder sets for even more options. We also have a brand new incentive set this month called Skeleton Leaves. This little set has 4 gorgeous skeleton leaves and 3 greetings that will work for all kinds of card projects throughout the year. And it's yours free with any $75 purchase. You don't have to put it in your cart. It will automatically ship with your qualifying order. Now it's time for me to show you a couple of projects using the new Holiday Wreath Builder. I will link a video to the original Wreath Builder underneath this video over at YouTube and on Stamp TV, so you guys can learn all about the templates and how they work. But I have my template taped into my MISTI, and I'm using the 3 3/4 inch template. Now I've cut a piece of cardstock down to 3 3/4 inches square, and I've placed it inside my MISTI stamping tool. And I'm going to choose a stamp. Now, depending on how close to the edge you put that stamp, your wreath will be bigger, or if you move it in, it's going to be a smaller wreath. So I recommend getting it as close to the edge as possible for that first image. But you want to make sure you have it in square orientation, because if you have it in the diamond orientation and you place your stamp on the corner like this, when you turn the cardstock, it's going to stamp off of your cardstock, and you don't want it to do that. So always make sure it's in the square orientation and then place your first stamp. Now I'm going to close the door of the MISTI and pick up that stamp. And then I'm going to always readjust, making sure that that cardstock is back inside the template. I'm going to start with some Blue Lagoon ink, and I'm going to ink up this snowflake stamp. And then I'm going to stamp it. Now I'm going to take that piece of cardstock and turn it to the next orientation in the template. I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to stamp it again. Once again, I'm turning it to the next orientation, the next position. I'm going to ink it up again and stamp it again. And I'm going to continue to do that until I have all 8 images stamped. This is going to produce evenly stamped images in a circular pattern, and they're always going to create a wreath that's dead center in the middle of your cardstock. So I'm stamping that last one right now, and you can see that's made a complete circle. Now I'm going to clean that stamp with the tidy towel and put that back on the stamp sheet. One question I get asked a lot is, can you stamp more than one image at a time to save time? And you definitely can, but what I recommend is that when you're loading those stamps onto your cardstock, that you put one toward the outside of the wreath and one toward the inside of the wreath. If you put them both on the outside of the wreath or the inside of the wreath, when you get to that next time you stamp, it's going to stamp over your last image. So here I've loaded one on the outside, one on the inside, and I'm going to pick that up with the door. And then my next color is going to be the new Sea Glass ink. This is a really nice coordinating ink with the Blue Lagoon. So I'm going to ink that up and I'm going to stamp it. And then once again, I'm going to turn it to the next position in the template and I'm going to ink it up and stamp it again. And you can see now I'm building a fatter wreath using 2 images at a time. So that's saving me a little bit of time and allowing me to stamp more images. And I'm going to continue to do that until all 8 rotations are done. Now you can see how nice that is. So my next little tip here is to fill in the little corners using small stamps. You can see that on the straight edges, there's lots of images, but on the corners, they're a little shallow. So I'm going to take 2 tiny stamps, 2 little snowflakes, and I'm going to pop those into the corner there. But I'm not going to stamp on every position. I'm only going to stamp images in the square orientation, and I'll show you what I mean. So now I'm going to ink that up with some Turquoise Sea, another beautiful complementary color to Blue Lagoon and Sea Glass. And I'm going to stamp that. Now instead of going to the next rotation, I'm going to go to the next square. I'm skipping that diamond orientation. And this is just going to fill in those little square areas, those little corners, and it still keeps the wreath looking very round. So I have one more to stamp here, and then I'm going to turn it again and finish it up by stamping that last one. So you can see the wreath is all filled out now, and it's ready for a greeting. So now I'm going to choose a greeting, and I'm going to put that greeting into the center of my wreath. I'm going to move the magnet down a little bit because I really want to secure that cardstock in case I want to stamp it a second time to make it darker or if it doesn't transfer all the way. I'm using some Gina K Designs Black Onyx ink and I'm inking up that image, and now I'm going to stamp it. And you can see I got a nice transfer and I have a beautiful wreath that's ready to mount onto a piece of black cardstock and then my card base. I added some copper nail heads here to accent some of the snowflakes. And that little card is ready to go. One of the questions I get a lot is, can you create a wreath on a longer card? And absolutely you can. So what I have here is I have a piece of cardstock that's cut to 3 3/4 inches at the top, so it will fit inside of my Wreath Builder template. But the bottom, the long way, is cut to 5 inches, and that's going to hang outside of the MISTI, and that's totally fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pine sprig. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to place that off to the right side of my piece of cardstock. Now this technique is going to allow me to build a wreath at the top of my card, and it's going to leave space for me to add a greeting down at the bottom. This way I can make this panel fit an A2 card. So I'm going to start by inking this pine sprig up with a little bit of fresh asparagus ink, and I'm going to stamp it. Now when I turn this cardstock, I want to make sure that those top 2 points are inside the template. The edge can hang out, that's not a problem. And now I'm going to stamp it again. And I'm going to continue to move those top 2 points in the template, not worrying about what's hanging out on the bottom. And you can see now this is becoming a wreath at the top of the card. And I'm going to finish that up, and then I'm going to get ready to add my next image. Now I'm going to put that back into that square orientation with the two corners up at the top. And I'm going to clean that stamp. And then my next stamped image I'm going to get is a little holly leaf. And then to place this one, I'm going to find an empty spot between two of those pine sprigs. And I'm going to place the image there and pick it up with the door of the Misty. And again, shifting that cardstock back into place. For this color, I'm going to use some Lucky Clover, and I find that the Lucky Clover is a beautiful green ink that works with so many of our other greens. And it really mixes nicely with the fresh asparagus. I didn't expect that, but it looks really good in the finished card. So you can see I'm continuing to turn just those top 2 points and keeping them secure in the template, and then not worrying about what's happening at the bottom of the cardstock. So now that the holly leaves are done, it's time to add some bright red, and I'm going to use the little berries image, and I'm going to place those onto the cardstock. Again, putting it back into the square orientation. I'm going to find an empty little spot right under the holly leaf and add the berries. And even if things overlap, that's okay, because in real life, if you had a wreath, things would overlap. So don't worry if things overlap. So now I'm going to ink that up with some red velvet, and I'm going to continue to stamp it all the way around the entire wreath. Always keeping in mind that those top 2 corners have to be inside the Wreath Builder template in order to create that even spacing as I go around. And it's fun to try different colors that you might not expect with the Wreath Builder. Maybe do the berries in a blue color or a purple color, just to have something different. But I really like these traditional Christmas colors that I'm using for this particular project. So now that the berries are done, I'm going to clean that little stamp using my tidy towel, and I'm going to add a little, well, it's not really a snowflake, it's kind of a little star, so it can be used as a snowflake, but it can also be used as a little accent image. So I'm going to use that image, but I'm going to emboss it this time. So I'm going to use my embossing magic pad to remove any oil or any static from the surface of this card. You do want to make sure that the ink is completely dry. Even though dye inks dry quickly, they can still grab some embossing powder if you haven't let it dry completely. So now I'm going to find an empty little spot to add this tiny image. You're going to find that this image is one that you reach for all the time because it fills in tiny little areas on your wreaths, and that is such a fun little star. So I'm going to ink this up with some Versamark, and I'm going to stamp it. Now when you're using Versamark, one of the tricks is to count how many times you've stamped. So that's one. Now I'm stamping a second time. And you remember that you're only going to stamp 8 times. Sometimes it's hard to see the Versamark, so when you get to the last one, if you stamp it a second time, sometimes that one will look a little fatter than the other ones. So if you count 8 times, then you won't overstamp that first one. So now I'm going to use a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to use some of the gold fine detail embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the surface of the wreath so that it will adhere just to those areas that I've stamped in Versamark. So now you can start to see them coming out. So now I'm going to use my heat tool, and I'm going to make sure that I heat it up just a little bit first. When you heat your heat tool up a little bit prior to using it on your cardstock, it allows the embossing powder to heat up more quickly, and that prevents warping. So I've preheated the tool, and now I'm going to heat these cute little star images and watch them come up to that beautiful, shiny, fine detail gold. There's lots of other things that you can add to these wreaths as well. Many of you use the Nouveau Crystal Drops or the Gina K Crystalline Drops. You also may have rhinestones and sequins. Wreaths are the perfect types of things for those sweet little embellishments. So here's a finished card, and as you can see, I added a little bit more gold embossing in the center, just in 4 spots. I've added a little gold twine bow and a greeting from the scripty Holiday at the bottom. Now I want to show you a couple other fun cards I made using the Holiday Wreath Builder. I made this Happy Hanukkah card using the Hanukkah greeting and the Star of David, and then I stamped snowflakes with powder blue and blue denim. And I want to show you another fun way to use the images without the Wreath Builder template. You can create fun snowflake backgrounds using the Emboss Resist technique. So there are so many ways to use this fun new stamp set. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's release party presentation. All of the products are now available at GinaKDesigns.com, and with every $75 purchase, you'll receive the free Skeleton Leaves stamp set. Thanks so much for watching today, and hopefully my stamp room will be done soon, and I'll be back to the live style videos. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you back here soon on Stamp TV.